Yeah, I'd like to call the Mentor City Council regular meeting for November 19th, 2024 to order. Our invocation will be given by Councilperson Donovan.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand, and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Dowling?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Kirschner?
Here.
Mr. Krieger?
Here.
Mr. Marne?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here. All right, Council, you are in receipts of the minutes of the November 5th, 2024 work session.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes. Okay. Council, you're also in receipt of the minutes of the November 5th, 2024 regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes. Okay. Public hearings tonight, we have none. Tabled legislation, ordinance number 24-0-071.
An ordinance enacting Chapter 752, Section 7, I don't think I need to read.
Tabled.
Thank
Oh,
you.
these are tabled? We don't need to read them?
No.
Okay,
We
well,
already
I
did
think the
three.
only comment I'll have on this is we're planning a work session for the first meeting in January to go over short-term rentals, so. Okay, so that will make it even shorter of a meeting. So, new legislation, ordinance number 24-0-079.
An ordinance to authorize transfers of funds, advances of funds, and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, this ordinance does three main things. Firstly, Section 1 approves 3 permanent cash transfers out of the city's general fund and street fund to cover the city share of grant-funded projects. Secondly, a temporary cash advance is authorized for approximately $1.2 million from the city's general fund to fund 11 different funds as noted, mostly grants that are noted in Section 2. And finally, in Section 3, there are 4 appropriation revisions, all increases, mostly to cover the general fund for the portion of the cash advances that are needed before we close the year out. And I would recommend approval. Thank you.
Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Okay, ordinance number 24-0-080 has been approved. Next is resolution number 24-R-118.
Do you miss?
You missed this one.
Is it 080?
Oh, wait, 0.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed this
The one
one?
was on the first page.
I apologize.
The top one. Yeah, right
Rookie
here.
mistakes. Ordinance number 24-0-080.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to sell surplus vehicles and equipment to the open market in accordance with the procedures of Section 121.04 of the codified ordinances.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, under your current legislation, items that we anticipate could realize a value in excess of $5,000 require council's approval for disposal. Most of this will go up under auction, so we ask for your approval.
Okay.
Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Okay, ordinance number 24-0-080 has been approved. So next, we have resolution number 24-R-118.
A resolution approving the 2023 Solid Waste Management Plan update of the Lake County Solid Waste Management District.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, Mr. Schweikert is the city's representative on the Lake County Solid Waste District Policy Committee, so I'll ask him to make a couple comments.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. In the late 80s, the state of Ohio was concerned that cities and counties didn't have a good handle on future waste disposal needs, and they required that solid waste management districts or counties, in our case, Lake County is the solid waste district, come up with a plan to make sure that there was sufficient capacity in landfills and that there was sufficient availability of recycling programs. So they required this plan to be put together every so many years. Initially it was 3, and then it was stretched out to 5. So this is the 5-year update of that plan. Basically, you know, we have a large landfill in Lake County. There's plenty of capacity there. And as a district, we do a good job of making recycling available to the vast majority of residents in Lake County. So that's pretty much the upshot of this. Most of it's just updating figures and numbers and growth projections in terms of waste disposal, but that's the executive summary of what this plan entails.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes. All right. Resolution number 24-R-118 has been approved. Second readings, we have none. Third readings, we have ordinance number 24-0-076.
An ordinance amending Section 1165.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Mentor 2006 as amended by enacting new subsection B9 to clarify that portable storage units are not permitted to be used as accessory buildings/structures in residential districts and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Joe, can I turn to you first?
Yes, Mr. President, members of council, my understanding is the Planning Commission did make recommendation on this ordinance per code, and having received that recommendation, it is ripe for council's action tonight if it chooses.
Okay. Ken, do you have anything you'd like to add, or?
I wouldn't add anything, Mr. President, but the planning director was at the Planning Commission meetings. She's able to answer any questions you might have for her and how that meeting proceeded.
Okay.
Mr. President, the Planning Commission did consider this at their last meeting on November 7th. They are in full agreement with the recommendation to add subsection 9 to Division B of Section 1165.01 accessory buildings as written in the ordinance. And they also actually recommended expanding it further in addition to the sentence that was proposed, which the current sentence is a portable storage unit as defined in Section 136710 of the codified ordinances is not a permitted accessory building or structure. The Planning Commission further recommended that to add the language that would read, this includes but is not limited to unmodified shipping containers and lightweight plastic or fabric structures used for storage. And this proposed language was in order to help the administration clarify the accessory structures, as we receive many questions on this on a daily basis. And the thought is to hopefully weed out as many possible scenarios as possible with that additional language.
Thank you. Council?
Mr. President, do you add the additional language? Is that something council would want to do?
So, yes, we would.
So my motion would be to amend the ordinance to include those additions that the Planning Commission added,
Okay.
suggested.
Second.
All right. Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Move to approve as amended.
As amended. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes. Ordinance number 24-0-076 has been approved. Managers report. Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Council, we do have one open cut request. It is at 6367 Cambridge Park Drive. It's actually the Lake County Department of Utilities identified a sinkhole in the area as a result of a failing individual sanitary sewer service line. So it requires immediate repair. This will be a 10 by 10 open cut to accommodate a new 6-inch sanitary sewer connection at that location.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Council of the City of Mentor will host its annual community tree lighting on Tuesday, December 3rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Mentor Municipal Center. Santa will arrive in his horse-drawn carriage and will be available for photos, while choirs from the Mentor schools present a selection of holiday favorites. As in the past, light refreshments will also be served. Our Hometown Heroes program banners have now been removed with the passing of Veterans Day, and they're available for pickup in the Mentor Municipal Center lobby during regular business hours. We are also starting applications for the 2025 Hometown Heroes banner program, and that will be posted in January. And we just remind all of those who participated in the program, we will not discard any of those, so they can pick them up, but if they don't do so, we'll try to reach out to them. The Winter 2024 Spring 2025 Recreation Program Guide is now available on the city's website, and hard copies have been mailed out to the residents already. Spring book, I know this is something the council was anxious to see, and it was on council's initiative that this went forward, but the Springbrook Gardens parking lot lights have now been installed. And they turned out very well, and obviously that'll enhance the safety of our park goers there. And finally, council, the Wildwood Holiday Boutique, which is presented by the City of Mentor and the Mentor Community Arts Commission, will be on Sunday, December 1st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Wildwood Cultural Center. Admission is $2. Children 8 and under are free. And due to space constraints, strollers are not permitted indoors at this event. And finally, council, we have one new business to announce. It is Panda Cafe at 7850 Mentor Avenue. So we thank them for their investment and wish them great success moving forward. That's all.
All right, thanks, Ken. Moving on, clerk's correspondence. Julie?
Council is in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court month-end report for October of 2024. That is all.
Okay, commission committee reports. Council, you've received meeting minutes from the Mentor Community Arts Commission, August 1st, 2024, and September 5th, 2024, and October 3rd, 2024. The Board of Building and Zoning Appeals meeting of October 8th, 2024. The Municipal Planning Commission meeting minutes of October 17th, 2024. And the Economic Development Council Committee meeting minutes of November 1st, 2024. Old business. Council? Hearing none. New business? Hearing none. We will move to persons before council. And we have 3 people tonight. In order, I'm going to ask you to come up to the podium, give your name and address, and realize that you have 4 minutes speaking time. So we're going to start with Matthew Park. If you'd like to come up to the podium, and don't forget name, address, and 4 minutes.
Matthew Park, 321 West Marina Parkway, Lorraine, Ohio, 44052. Hello, council. Thanks for your time. This is in regards to the Mentor Lagoon Shoreline Master Plan. My name is Matthew Park. I'm a representative of Surfrider Foundation, Northern Ohio chapter. Surfrider Foundation is a national organization made up of local volunteer chapters dedicated to the protection and enjoyment of the world's oceans, waves, and beaches. Council may or may not be aware that Sawyers Point is a popular and regionally significant surfing beach. It is a rare setup for Lake Erie, one of only 2 point breaks on our U.S. side. What originally caught the attention of us surfers and paddlers was the potential eradication of Sawyers Point as we know it. The Menor Lagoons Nature Preserve is obviously a valuable resource as there is not much natural lakefront left in Ohio. Much of this buildup has been done in the name of erosion control or shoreline protection. The armoring done in 2012 east of the harbor entrance may have accelerated erosion as there was an apparent loss in sediment that replenishes the bluffs. Prior to that project, we had a beautiful sand beach that extended east from the Marina Road. So Surfrider and other concerned parties answered the survey in December last year and attended the public meeting back in March, but those have been the only few real efforts to engage the public. We do not feel that the public engagement process has been necessarily adequate, and there is significant discordance between the public feedback that was shared during the March meeting and the current proposed plan that was shared in the council workshop last month. For example, the proposed plan includes pretty heavy development, including beach fill, concrete, and pavement, along with grading out 50 to 100 feet of bluff top, but the sense from the public meeting was that a much lighter touch was preferred. There are several concerns with the current proposed plan, but the focus of my comments today is the need for more public engagement and information to ensure stakeholders understand the plans, that they can provide meaningful input, and that there's sufficient support for those plans and potential costs of this major project. So that would be the ask of the council, to facilitate more public engagement prior to the council's final approval of the Shoreline Master Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, number 2, Jeff Cook. Member name, address, and 4 minutes.
It's Jeff Cook, 5966 Andrews Road, Mentor on the Lake, Ohio. I come before you this evening to bring your attention to some events and activities that could be considered in poor taste, racially motivated, and unethical as it relates to a sitting member of City Council, Scott Marnes. Councilman Scott Marnes organized an event at the city-owned lagoons on September 7th with the moniker of Boats and Hose Golf Cart Poker Run. It is my understanding this was not a city-sanctioned event, and he may have been asked not to host the event with said name. He did so anyway, and shared pictures of it on social media. I followed the event. Council Marn and several others patronized BW3s on Diamond Center that same evening. Upon exiting the establishment, an altercation occurred. Followed by that altercation, Councilman Marn was injured and a driver of a vehicle arrested. Menor City Police Department body cam footage, which I have of every officer, shows a female patron stating that Councilman Marn called the driver a racial slur. While in the background, Councilman Marn's wife can be heard screaming a racial slur and threatening the man's life, which, can I repeat what she's saying on the body cam?
Please don't.
No.
Well, I won't say the words, but I do have the body cam, and if you guys would like to stay after. She said, "You effing enter, I'm gonna effing kill you," is what she said. Clear as day on all the body cams. These guys are trying to do their job, take control of the situation, and you got Wendy Marnes over there, drunk and intoxicated, acting a fool. No matter the situation, what happened, it's unfortunate. That's uncalled for. You don't do that. Councilman Marn also appears to have used his position as an elected official to have a job created for his son in the engineering department. Legislation was passed on March 5th, 2024, creating the position of engineering technician, a position which was filled by Dylan Marn. It is my understanding that at the time of the vote, members of council were not aware that the position was created for him. In addition, Councilman Marn did not recuse himself from the vote. None of these events are becoming of a member of council or elected official, but combined they are an embarrassment to the city and to the constituents that he represents, They show a lack of ethics, morals, and abuse of power, and the border of illegal and racist. I would ask that Councilman Martin resigns immediately and that the members of council ask the same thing. This is just a little of what else has to come. You guys have my email, phone number. I have the video. I'd be more than happy to show her how she was acting, and I'd love to show you guys and see the real thing. But I think you'd be doing us all a great favor in resigning.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
All
Cook.
good.
Okay, next, we have Gary Shell. Yeah,
He
you're
does
done.
have time left. He only has 3 minutes.
No, he's done.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Gary Shell, and I live at 5912 Hopkins Avenue. My name is Gary Shell. I'm a 23-year-old veteran. My wife, Allie, and I, we live at 5912 Hopkins Road. We have been living there for almost a year now. We purchased the property around because it's around 2.5 acres, and it has a country feel, but still living in the city. Half of the property is wooded to the south, running along Center Street, where the front of the property is small. A charming house, a shed, and a garage. My wife and I are outdoor people. We love gardening, camping, hunting, fishing, boating, and kayaking. This property seems to have everything we need and comforts us in our lifestyle living. Being an outdoor family, we have a small camper, a boat, a couple utility trailers for various things, and we had them all parked up in our U driveway on the pavement at our house that sets over 60 feet off of the street. This year, we trimmed a lot of the overgrowth from the bushes and cleared all the overgrowth from the garden plot next to Center Street. We tried to repair the 50-year-old plus fence, wire fence that had been neglected for many years. After we planted our crops, a few days later, we went back to check on them. To our surprise, most of them been eaten clear down to, to the ground. The deer had eaten around $200 worth of our food and our plants. The old fence was so badly damaged, the trees had fallen on it, the trees had grown up through it, and it was all bended. The posts were all bended in, and it was barely holding itself up. So we decided that the old fence and the posts needed to go, and we repaired it. With new posts and new wire fence in the same location, no bigger, no smaller. I did it, and it looked amazing, and the people in our neighborhood up here, they gave a lot of compliments. So as I mentioned previously, we love outdoors. Me growing up in East Tennessee, hunting is part of my life for me. I love deer hunting, I love deer meat, and everything that goes along with deer hunting. When I learned that I might be able to hunt on my own property to help with deer management program in Mentor, I was thrilled to help. I quickly filled out the necessary paperwork. One of my neighbors had even allowed me to sign so I could hunt on their property. The deer were eating their plants too, so he gave me permission. That gave me a total of almost 4 acres. I took all my tests, precautions to achieve hunting on my own property. I met with the police department, the wildlife management team on my property to make sure that all safety measures were in place. With my hunting permit in my hand, I couldn't be more excited. So I built my stand facing my house the way the deer traveled in between my house and my stand. This would make an easy and quick shot or quick kill with my crossbow. The day before hunting season began, I go in my mailbox and I received not 1 but 2 city violations. They're code violations. One of them for the new fence around my garden, and another for all my utility trailers, campers, and my boat. A few hours later, I get a call from the wildlife management stating that the city manager had revoked my deer hunting permit, noting that the city revoking my permit,
Mr.
noting
Shell,
that the city
you have 30 seconds.
had a call from the people in the neighborhood objecting to my to my deer hunting. It was the Wilkers. They are a nuisance, and I'll just skip down to the part here. The Wilkers are a nuisance and harassment and bully everybody in our neighborhood, and we can't take it. I done everything right I was supposed to do for deer hunting, and just because somebody says they don't like it, that shouldn't be accepted. They shouldn't bully the councilman or the city council people. And it's just appalling. I come in here and I got a variance for my fence. They sat over there and said, I want one if he gets one. That's not right. There's a silver lining to this. I was granted my fence. Another silver lining, I was given another place to hunt in the city. And I really appreciate that. But my point is, something's got to be done about these people. We're tired of putting up with that. All the neighbors are. They're calling the neighbors and saying, are you hunting on your property this year? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? I even had the lady stop in the middle of the road just about.
Got to pull your time.
And watch me. And I'm not going to put up with that. Nobody has to put up with that.
Thank you, Mr. Shell. Okay, that's everyone.
Move to adjourn.
Barbara supposedly has been told to waived.